Hey guys, welcome back to Minecraft the Shipwreck. Today we'll be reading chapter 40, which is titled Tank. Starts on page 332 and goes to page 337. If you guys have enjoyed this novel so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Minecraft the Shipwreck. Without further ado, chapter 40. I can show you where we are, Tank says. He logs in and appears right next to Emily's avatar. He looks at the three beds surrounded by torches on the bare strip of shore, where they kept coming back to every time they were defeated. The last time they were all there, they had given up on the game, on ever seeing one another again. Tank reaches out and touches Jake on the shoulder. Jake turns and gives him a reassuring smile. From the other computer, Emily makes a silly wavery gesture with her hand, and Tank chuckles. The jellyfish handshake he taught her. She remembered. They've been through so much together, have traveled this world the wizard created, solved the riddles the wizard gave them, and accept this one. Come on, Tank says, bouncing as he dives into the water. The ocean monument is still, all its guardians defeated. Isabella's voice shakes as she opens the door at the end of the long prismarine hallway, the kingdom glittering just a short distance away. I don't believe this, she says, her voice trembling with awe. It's cool, isn't it? Emily hums. Tank smiles at Jake and Emily. Isabella looks mesmerized by the sight of the merfolk building their wall, and the warriors swimming back and forth in anticipation. The Leviathan wakes up as soon as you try to cross the kingdom, Jake says. He nods at Tank, who takes a step forward. The ground rumbles and the massive monster rises up, smashing through the wall, shooting powerful blasts of energy and taking them all out in a single blow. They respawn back on the beach. Emily places the storybook on the table. We figured out that the wizard was basing the story in the game on this, she says. Isabella reaches for her book. Her fingers brush gently over the crayon drawings of the mermaid kingdom, the Leviathan. I drew this, she says softly. I can't believe she kept it. It was here in the community center, Jake says. We found it. And all the stuff that Ellen couldn't bear to throw away. Isabella shakes her head. It's too much to believe. The details. I thought she never paid attention to me and my stories and all of this. She clutches the book to her chest, her eyes brimming with tears. She's the only one who could have created this world with my story. Your mother is the wizard? Tank's mouth falls open in shock. He thinks about all the times Ellen had come to check in on them, and it falls into place after all. The wizard hadn't noticed they were in the game until the last time Ellen saw them in the lab. Isabella nods. She's a programmer. When I was a kid, she was always working, either at the community center or at her company, and she'd always promised to spend time with me. But it never happened. After my father died, she threw herself into work, and I hated it. We got into this huge fight, when I was a little older than you all. I left and never looked back. She flips through the book slowly and looks back at the game. I thought she didn't care. It sounds like she did, Tank says. She just didn't know how to say so. Isabella wipes her eyes. The kingdom, the mermaids, the quest to get the trident. It was an ongoing story that I made up. My parents and I, we used to hang out in the pool all the time, and I would act it out with my toys. She laughs. I had this old dinosaur figure that was the Leviathan, and all my stuffed animals would hang out by the side of the pool in their kingdom. The pathway, that was the walkway that separated the shallow from the deep. And she turns and smiles at them. I haven't thought about this game in forever. How does the story end? Jake asks. How do you find the trident to defeat the Leviathan? We've tried everything bows, swords, enchanted weapons. It's like trying to defeat the Ender Dragon, but with every disadvantage, Emily says. Isabella pauses on one of the pages. I believe the trident was hidden in the underwater temple, very close to the kingdom. I thought it was funny, coming up with a story where the princess spent the whole adventure going all over the world, only to come back and realize that at the end of her quest, all of the riddles had brought her back home. The monument. I knew we hadn't looked everywhere, Jake says. Isabella leads the way, Emily's character diving back down toward the monument. Tank and Jake walk her through each floor, showing her the different rooms, the treasure chamber with the statue that activated the pathway. Isabella pauses, swimming into the room filled with note blocks. I thought this was just an ambience, Emily says, to add to the mystery. The room is expansive, the floor decorated with a number of note blocks that each play a musical note when stood on. They echo through the water, resonating with a deep bass. Isabella touches a stone, a high note pinging in the air. She taps on all of them experimentally, trying out the notes. No way, she says. What? There's a song that I used to hum all the time. It was just this still, silly melody I made up, Isabella says. She presses three notes, the beginning of a familiar song. Tank realizes it's the music that's been specially programmed into the server, that same light and playful melody that has followed them throughout the game. Isabella finishes out the song with one ringing note, and then pistons clank and clatter, revealing a hidden compartment in the prismarine wall. The golden trident is floating inside it, and Emily picks it up. Isabella pushes back from the computer, standing up. I can't. This is too much. Here, you go ahead. Are you sure? Jake asks. Isabella nods, folding her arms around herself. I want to see how it ends. Go on. Tank, Emily, and Jake follow the stone pathway out to the kingdom like they have done so many times before. This time, though, he can feel the energy radiating off Isabella as she watches the scene unfold intently. The Leviathan rises, the merfolk scatter. Emily raises the trident and it shoots out a beam of golden energy right at the Leviathan. It roars in pain, and Tank realizes with satisfaction that it's actually done a significant amount of damage. It's gonna blast us. It's making the face, Jake calls out. Evasive maneuvers. Come on. Tank remembers the plan. He scatters to the left just as Emily dodges to the right, and Jake dives into a stand nearby coral. They barely escape the blast, and Tank's health dips, but he's still alive. He drinks an instant health potion, watching Emily dart to the base of the wall, readying the trident again, but the Leviathan is already preparing to send a blast at her. It attacks what's in its line of sight, Tank remembers. Tank fires at the Leviathan with his bow to distract the beast, and it roars and turns to him, aiming another blast just as it takes a hit from one of Jake's arrows. He and Jake alternate their strikes as Emily gets another shot in. The sluggish speed of arrows underwater used to mean they could barely cause any damage before it destroyed them with the blast, even with the three of them drawing its attention. But now all Jake and Tank have to do is distract it long enough for Emily to attack. And they're actually still here, still fighting even after this long. Throw it, Isabella says. That's how tridents are most effective. The Leviathan roars, charging right for Emily as she throws the trident. It arcs in the air, gleaming, and spears the Leviathan in the eye. For a brief second, nothing seems to happen, but then a crack of golden light begins to form from the wound, expanding as the whole beast splinters into pieces of light. Small items rain down on the ocean floor, and as Tank swims closer, he realizes they're all pieces of kelp and seaweed. Jake takes a deep breath next to him. Did we do it? A great cheer comes up from the merfolk from the wall. They gather around the three of them, their happy voices overlapping. I think we did, Tank says. Let's go see the kingdom. They swim forward past the no longer necessary wall into the kingdom. Sea lanterns flicker and sparkle as they wander through the graceful towers and monuments decked out in greens and golds. Celebratory music sounds all around them, and the merfolk go right past the joyous flurry. All the tension and nervous energy they've seen every time they glimpse the kingdom before is gone. Now, swimming through the prismarine archways, Tank can see in detail the way the buildings are stacked one upon another, columns stretching out from the ocean floor, banners and lanterns wave in the ocean current, wrapping around delicate towers built of colored glass. Sponges dot the landscape, and outcrops of colorful coral flourish, and in the distance a grand sparkling palace awaits. Tank's never had the patience for long-term goals before, isn't even sure if he's ever completed one. Maybe now he can try, knowing he's done it before. That wraps up chapter 40. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and if you did, stay tuned and hit that like button, and I will see you next time.